Hi, this is Ryan from Galaxy Choice, and ever since Force Awakens came out, I decided to kind of become a small Phasma collector. It's not as big as like what I do with Darth Vader, but I found the armor interesting. It's kind of like the Boba Fett of the new movies, I kind of feel, you know. Fett looked really cool, but didn't do a whole lot in the movies. Phasma's the same way. She looks really cool and does nothing. But I kind of got into it. I like the armor, I like the shininess, and I kind of got into wanting things that were shiny from Phasma, and yeah, attracted to that shiny stuff, I guess. So I've been picking up different things, a few different things. So today I'm going to go over a couple of different Japanese issues of Captain Phasma. So I just got a few of these in the mail today, so I thought I'd go over them, plus some past purchases of Phasma. I'm going to start with this one. This is the SH Figure Arts Captain Phasma. Just going to show it here if you want to hear my thoughts on it. I was on Star Wars Action News a while back, and myself, Arnie and Marjorie, and Amy Schoberg all discussed this figure in detail there. One of the older ones I also have are the Bandai die-casts. They're about 2-inch figures. I guess these are starting to show up at Disney stores, so if you are looking for these, you can find them. They have limited articulation. We have 4 points of articulation. The legs don't move. The waist does. The detail's fairly nice on them. These cost about $10 even from Japan, so they're pretty nice. Something I picked up at Celebration Europe last year is this vinyl collection, Bandai Captain Phasma. More for the card than anything. It's very evocative of a vintage card. It has some articulation, as you see. It looks like a little bit of arm articulation and head articulation. Not much else. Looks more like a statue, so I left it on the card. It looked good on the card anyway. Just so you can see the back. They did a few different ones of these. They're not usually too expensive. I think this was less than $20 when I bought it. So on to a few of the more ridiculous items. This is the Egg Force Captain Phasma. Not to be confused with the Egg Attack, which are usually kind of super deformed, really nice looking, expensive figures that you see at conventions. These are relatively cheap, less than $10. I bought the Vader before I decided to pick up the Phasma. The idea on these is it's an action figure that changes into an egg. I'll open it up and show you. So here she is all opened up. She has like no articulation at all. The head doesn't even move. The only things that move are things that are going to fold in to transform it into an egg, which I will now do. So here she is transformed into an egg. Why? I don't know. It's one of those kind of weird things to get from Japan. Like I said, if it didn't cost a whole lot, I probably wouldn't have bought this. But it was very cheap, so it's kind of fun things to grab, especially when you're buying a few things from an international store to pick up things. Like I bought almost all this through Hobby Link Japan. Next, we have the Takara Tomy Star Cars, which actually this now reminds me that this diecast figure wasn't actually Bandai, but Takara Tomy. Just in case people heard me say that, so nope, you're wrong. I'm correcting myself. This is Takara Tomy, not Bandai. They put out these cars that are characterized. You know, we've been getting things like this a lot recently, it seems. We originally got those cars from Disneyland and been getting Hot Wheels recently. Well, Takara Tomy is also doing some different ones here. So here is our star car open. As you can see, the front grille kind of looks like Phasma's face mask. Different details that remind you it looks like it's kind of a convertible top to kind of resemble her cape. It even has, some people have called this a thermal detonator, all sorts of different things. License plate also says Captain Phasma. So many different things to evoke the character of Captain Phasma. It's about the size of a Hot Wheels car, so it fits in with those. Again, these are relatively cheap. I know this was well under $10, so pretty cheap items to pick up, a little different. So the last thing to show here is the Mafex, which is from Medicom. Many longtime collectors will recognize the name Medicom. We used to get some interesting Star Wars 12-inch by Medicom many, many years ago. Maybe they still make them. I haven't seen them in a while, but they were very well detailed, nice figures. I know I picked up a Medicom Darth Vader a while back from this Mafex collection in this 6-inch scale. So I decided to pick up Phasma. This was around $50. So not too bad. As you can see, the army's very shiny. I'll take it out so we can take a closer look at it. When we open her up, we have a few different hands, the figure, the gun, and what seems to be missing from a lot of 6-inch is a proper display stand. Usually we get more of these with the high-end 12-inch. The thing I like about the Mafex is we do get these. So look at the detail on the figure itself. It is not just a shiny silver, but has a little bit of weathering in there to give it a little more realistic look. Kind of some black spotting at times, so it's not just a shiny Phasma. So you can see the detail, very, very articulated. It feels loose, but holds everything. Very good wrist articulation, elbow. The shoulders have shoulder pads that will lift to help articulation there. We have chest and waist, hip, knee, ankle, all sorts of stuff here. Very well articulated. Oh, yeah, of course, head. The cape is a kind of a cloth, but it does have a wire in it, so you can bend it however you want, and it will stay for more of an action pose. It does have the red stripe down here, though, is kind of a firm plastic, if you will, but it has that wire inside, so it will bend. Maybe it's more of a vinyl on that, but it makes it so you can keep that looking more like the movie. So a little bit of look at the back of it. We do have some of the detail, like the patches and stuff, that more and more we're seeing on these figures that different people are adding to that. One of the interesting things I found was in the hands. The hands that hold the gun actually have the trigger and everything right here in the hand. So what you actually do to put the gun in her hand, you take that off, and then you can insert it right into the hand. So you get that to look like so. The only problem I see with this, I like the idea in that you're not going to move a gun in and out of a hand and give paint wear or broken thumbs or anything like that. But now you have this little tiny piece that looks like it would get very easily lost in order to keep this gun in the action figure's hand. We do have both right and left with the both right and left with the grip in there, and then both right and left with fists. The ones that came on that are kind of an open hand that you can use there. On a lot of these figures, I'm always curious to see how you can attach the gun to the hip. Of course, we first saw this with the Stormtrooper, the 6-inch one that we got at San Diego a couple years ago. You could attach these guns to the hips. And we've seen magnets. The Hasbro ones kind of have a ridge. This has two little peg holes, or pegs with two peg holes here. It's hard to see here, but it just simply attaches. So you get the gun in place like that. Now, I've been wondering, I need to go back and watch the movies again, but I don't remember if Phasma ever attached this gun to her hip. In fact, I don't remember, did Stormtroopers even have their gun attached to the hip? It seems to me FN 2199 had his kind of baton on his hip, if I remember correctly, as he tosses away his gun and grabs a baton. But I don't remember any Stormtroopers having the gun on their hip. Comment if you've seen that. Just say where it is. I'd love to know without just like going through the movie again. But I just don't remember if they actually had that. Swapping out hands on this is a breeze. It's just a simple peg. They come off very easily, which is nice. Yes, I did. So you can get that on there. It still has full range of motion. It's very simple to get on there. Nice thing is, it is easy. There's a lot of these that come, you feel like you're going to break that little ball and pin joint that you get in there in order to take the different hands off. So it's nice to see that this one works really well. So with her posed on the display stand, you can see that there is a slight issue here. As with the way the stand goes out in the back, the cape, if you want it to go over that and kind of hide it a little bit, does go over that, but then of course is going to stick out. So it kind of looks like Phasma's in the wind. I know my Vader, it worked pretty well just because his cape gets blown around, especially in Empire with his confrontation with Luke. Phasma didn't really stand in the wind here, so it's a little different. But I don't know, I'll have to see what I can find that works. But just so you can see that it does kind of look a little, maybe a little more action-y, I don't know. She kind of looks like Vader in the pose I have here anyway. As you can see, you can get her in kind of that classic Phasma pose here. The wrists bend down very nicely to kind of point the gun up. Well, it seems like there's a lot of stills and photography of Phasma with her gun like this. As you can see, the cape goes straight down. She stands very well on her own, even without the display stand. Obviously, with all the articulation, you can do some pretty extreme action poses. You usually have to use the display stand. Nice thing about these display stands is it just have that clear ring that goes around the waist, so it doesn't really show up. Unfortunately, like I said, it does stick out. I did manage to kind of set this up so it goes in like that, but it's still going to inhibit the cape just a little bit. So I thought I'd finish by showing a kind of look at all the different 6-inch or 1/6 scale, if you will. We have the Bandai vinyl collection first, that's still carded here. The Mafex, which I reviewed today. This is the Bandai model kit action figure. And on to the SH figure art. And then over to our American brethren with the Disney Elite diecast. And of course the Hasbro Black Series. And if you really want to, we can include the Egg Attack in here. Not quite 6-inch scale, but not Egg Attack, sorry. Gosh, what are those called? Egg Force. There we go. Egg Attack. So there's a look at all the different 1/6 scale Phasmas. So I hope you enjoyed this look at a couple of different Japanese Captain Phasma action figures. If there's something I missed, something that you know came out of Japan that you haven't seen from me yet, go ahead and put it in the comments. If there's something you think I got wrong, go ahead and put it there. And if there, of course, there's anything else you'd like to see me review or talk about, please post in the comments. I'm always glad to hear from you. I try to get back as soon as I can. My next review should be the Hot Toys Han Solo from Force Awakens, as that's supposed to arrive in just a couple of days. Thank you for watching.